car fans, welcome to the Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Revell, and here I know you're thinking, what am I up to now? This was a previously built 71 Boss 351 MPC kit, which I showed you recently, and I also showed the Missing Link Resin updated nose in one of the kits, and I've kind of mentioned it before. And since I'm working on the Revell Boss 351 Mustangs, so, I've got a couple of those I'm getting started on, and I'll update you on that one. I decided I was going to pull this one apart because I wanted to update the front nose, take all of that off, which is all these incorrect parts. And I know this thing has a ton of accuracy issues, but I decided, you know what, I've been putting this off and haven't done it, and I've had the resin conversion parts for years, maybe even 10 or so, but it's just kind of an old build and it's been sitting there, and I really don't want to rebuild it. But since the front end is black and all of that needs to be done, I decided, you know what? I'm going to take this and I'm going to just tear this apart, pull it apart, and hopefully I don't have to touch the rest of the body or any of the paint on this, because this is decent and I can redo it. And then one of the things I like to do now that I didn't do back then is black all of this out. So I will do that on this one. You can see where all the masking tape and overspray is. But, that just depends on if I can grind all that out and remove it with my Dremel and replace it with this. This front end. And then the Boss 351 uses the chrome bumper. And then it's got a updated front valance right here. And then which replaces this Mach 1 nose, which came in that kit. And here's the molded in valance. You can see where the wing that I had, or front spoiler, was glued to it. And I tried to remove this without breaking it too much, but it did break, which I was expecting. It was glued on there pretty good. But I got those pieces out, and then I removed the headlights, which I didn't remember that I had actually drilled out the chrome on these headlights and put in clear lenses. I didn't even remember that I had done that. So I've got these lenses, but I'm not going to use them. And then here's the grill that came in it. So I popped all this out, and then some of the bumper was right here and glued. So I chipped that. So I may have to touch up paint that area. It really depends on how close this bumper gets in there and clears all that. But I still have to remove all of this. So I'll end up updating this video on the progression of this. So I'll grind all of that out. And I'm kind of doing this as I did it. But, here I pulled the chassis and interior out. The air cleaner popped off. You can see the spacer I made on top of the carburetor to space the air cleaner up. But I mean, that's just kind of what this is. But here you can really see the interior now that I have it out. But it stayed glued to the chassis pretty good, just mainly on these two back pegs. But I glued that into the chassis first, and then, or to the body first, and then glued this on. But I'm just playing with it, just updating it a little bit. It's something I've always wanted to do to the 3, just to fix the front ends and make them a bit more accurate. But it just kind of makes it a moot point when you compare it to the new Revell Mustang. So, I'm kind of playing with all of them. So I'll keep working on this and update you, and I'll grind this all out, and we'll see how that starts to fit. And I'll do that in segments on this, but you'll see it in one continuous video. All right, well, you can tell I hogged that out, so you can see how that came out. And I used my Dremel here with this bit, and got most of it out, and then trimmed it better with a razor. So you can see how that came out. I also had to do some trimming right here, so let's get that out of the way. And as you can see, I put the bumper in here to kind of help me guide it. So you can see how that's going in there and how it's lining up with the fender there. And it's fitting pretty good. So looks like next up I'm going to have to glue this thing in here. Get that lined up really good like that. Get that glued in there. And fill the rest of it in here. I knocked the other mirror off. Knocked one off. It's around here on the floor somewhere, so now I got to find it. But we'll continue on with this, but we'll get this moving, glued a little bit better, but just wanted to show you how that came out. So pretty happy with that. It wasn't that bad. We'll get that glued and keep moving on. Well, here we are. Got it glued in and mocked up there so you can kind of see what's going on there with how it's fitting. And it's coming out really nice. I'm pretty happy with it. Now all I got left is pretty much this. It pretty much goes right in place. And it's going to cover that up, it looks like. So maybe a little bit of body work there. Just sand that, fill that in, smooth it out a little bit. But there she is. There's a front end on there. And then not too bad at all. Just the chrome bumper. Take this off. But yeah, I put the lenses in there just to see what they're going to look like. But that's glued in place. This is in place. I did have to move this notch up a little bit for the bumper and back, and then had to do another notch here for the valance. So it's a little bit more notching and creativity there, but she's fitting really good, so it doesn't look like I really have to do. I just need to black all of this out and then smooth that out just a little bit, and she's pretty much done. So we'll keep going on that. So just a quick little update on this, and we'll keep moving on. Well, here we are. Got it brush painted black and just put in there and in place right now, and blacked out the whole inside. So pretty much ready for put some foil on here. Just start detailing all of this stuff, and the chrome bumper fits really nicely. So put that in there and mock it up. So there you go. So it appears this is fitting really well, and all I got to do is just put the bare metal foil on the trim, get a few things detail painted up, and put her back together. All right, separated the chassis from the interior, getting that ready to glue together. But got the foil on the front there, and it's a little bit of detail painting with the turn signals, and the front air dam is glued in place, so that's just about ready to get a little bit painted, and windshield is gluing in and drying. So almost done with this, so we'll continue working on this. All right, finished up this front end. As you can see, spoiler is now blacked out, painted. Front end is detailed and done. But here you get a nice comparison of the two side by side when it comes to the Missing Link Resin conversion and what I did to the original one. This is how this one looked beforehand, if you've seen the video. This one will eventually get the changeover, but I'm pretty sure this one I'm going to have to strip and paint, or at least paint that front bumper, and I'm not even sure what color paint I used on this one. But windshield is now glued in, chassis is glued in, blacked all of this out along with the inside because it was visible once the chassis is in. So now the chassis is ready to be glued in, glue the mirrors on, and this thing is pretty much done. I got maybe a couple little areas here to touch up the paint. Wasn't too concerned about the full-on detail of this particular one since it's an older one and there's a lot of numerous flaws, but it is what it is, and I will I still enjoy it, and I like the way this front end looks. But since I had bought all this stuff and had it, hate to just toss it, so I decided finish this up here. Oh, here's what the hood looks like. So definitely had to lay the hood on here when I was gluing this piece in, because I was pulling the fenders in and out, making sure they lined up and the hood fit. So there she is. But a couple more steps and this one is done. All right, betting this thing back up. Got the mirrors glued on and the chassis put in. So there it is with all the extra blacking out on the inside. It does look a lot better. I mean, definitely not my best work. This is just a quickie touch up. You can see the brush strokes on the spoiler there, and just how it came out. And but I didn't really want to airbrush it or spend a whole lot of time on this. I'm just basically touching up an old build of mine with the parts I had. And just wanted to see how it came out without actually having to redo any work to it. So, you know, the rest of the model is pretty much untouched. But yeah, so there's the new front end, and then the turn signals. You can see all of them, which it didn't have before. Like this one, the ones under the front bumper, they're not there. But like I said, this one's the Mach 1 that I built from that original kit. And then, of course, this one. And then hood fits, you know, nothing really done there. Just clean up a few fingerprints. But touch this one up. So a little bit of an update in comparison. You see the clear lenses have yellowed a little bit, but this was something that was available from Kevin at Missing Link. I don't believe it's available anymore. Don't see any reason why anyway to offer it at this point. You know, with that being said, it is what it is, and I'm just having a little bit of fun, but I figured I would take you along the journey on this one. So those of you that watched and you know, enjoyed it and just kind of just seen a challenge or what to do to update some of these. So thank you for tuning in, subscribing, all your comments. I really do appreciate it. And you guys, you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next Saturday.